Morning everybody, welcome to Stockradar Stocks in Move for another week. Today's date is the 21st September 2023. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. So, coming to the Gold Coast this week, it's actually now the afternoon because we've been down the beach out surfing this morning with the kids. But here we are, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the banks today. I had a call from a member this week. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what I thought about the banks at the moment, so we'll go through those a bit later on. In trading tactics this week, I'm going to go through over the next few weeks trend intensity rating breakdown, why I designed it, how it's built, and what the purpose is of the indicator. It's a unique to Stockradar tool that provides perspective and takes out the emotion. Over the next few weeks, we'll tackle each component of the trend intensity rating and how we pull it all together. But first, let's go to our top 10. Okay, top 10 of the week. Not a lot of change here. We've got Brickworks at the top here. Some of those material stocks have just come off the board a little bit lately. Car sales, NWL, you can see Sol Patterson there. I know it had a little bit of a tick down this week, but it's still looking okay. It's having a nice little breakout. The trend is up, so we follow that. And we've got the other ones there, Seven Group, Altium, Cochlear, Brambles, just the usual smattering of ones there. So they're all doing quite nicely, those stocks, which has been really good for us, okay? So now we're going to get into the markets. Look at the overseas markets. The Dow Jones Industrial, let's have a look at that. No, hang on, look at that. Okay, the Dow Jones, not a lot to say about the Dow Jones at this stage, as you can see. It hasn't done much. We're looking at this little support area around here. Nothing really much has changed over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. We're just holding there in mid-range. The highs up here and the support down here for the moment. So that's what the Dow looks like. The S&P also is looking okay. You see, we've got this big gap up here that we need to close if we're going to go through these highs. At the moment, we're struggling. We've fallen short once. We've fallen short a second time. The sellers are having a go to see if they can bring these buyers back. So we're going to watch this at the moment because this is now at a very interesting stage. Okay, so keep an eye on what the S&P is doing. The Nasdaq hit a little bit of a tip off. The same situation. We've got this gap up here. We've got a high here. We've got a lower high here. So the pressure is certainly mounting there a little bit after some big rallies, and we're now seeing a bit of selling appear. Not an abundance of selling, but there is a bit of selling appearing. So the sellers are giving the buyers a workover. We need those buyers to come back in and move this market higher again to reinforce the trend. For the moment, the trend is intact, but it's having a little challenge for the moment. So this is where the indices are at the moment. We're going to keep an eye on those as they approach the highs. Copper, still downtrend, not really doing much for us at the moment. The chart's not going to come up, and all the commodities charts may not come up today. However, there's not a lot of change. Sometimes they don't come up, so that's a bit disappointing today for you, but copper's still downtrend, gold is doing nothing, there's not a lot of change, and crude is just keeping that bump up a little bit. So crude's the one that's looking okay at the moment. So now we go to the ASX 200. It also is a similar situation, going sideways, going nowhere, not telling us much at all, flat, uninteresting, boring there. We've seen up, down the last few weeks. You know, up a few points, down a few points, up a few points, and we're getting this converging sort of pattern here as we just really have an uncertain sort of thing. Is this market going to go higher, or are we going to see a crap out? I don't really know. I'll wait and see. That's the index of the top 15 stocks, basically. So there are plenty of other ones that we look at the moment, which keep us intact. Okay, now. So that's the markets. I've gone through those. What I want to do now is just go quickly back to this ASX and look at the stock pick count. Stock pick update there. We're down 4 this week. We've lost 4 stocks, down to 37 this week of 184. 28 stock picks of 161. There you go. There's your breadth. It's as thin as this at the moment. But the stocks that are there are actually going up quite nicely. So it's a very, very strange market that some of these performers, and generally the market is just not doing anything for now. The portfolio update again. We've got an interesting picture again. All the portfolios are almost full except for the Energizer 10, which is 7 out of 10. They're all pretty well full, amazingly enough. They're still hanging in there with their returns at the moment. So we're sort of going holding fire, not gaining, not losing at the moment, just trying to keep our head above water and wait for the market to do what it does do most of the time, which is go back up again. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But that's really what's happening in the portfolios and in the breadth market. It's thin. I mean, I guess the way the market's converging, it's just people are getting nervous nervous and they're chopping out and they're standing aside, and I guess that's what they're doing. So that's where we're at with the market. We've got the indices coming off, commodities are pretty flat, Brent's okay, ASX 200 not doing a lot. Now we're going to get into having a look at the banks, which I promised you earlier on. So first off, let's go to ANZ. I'm going to work down the trend intensity scale on the banks for us today. So this is the highest ranker and this is a 0. So there you go, and that tells you an awful lot about where the banks are. This is the highest ranker at 0. So really what we've got here, we've got a big high up here, R2, $29 sits there. We haven't been near it for a long time. We had a big rally in 2020. It's come off, collapsed. It's gone sideways. We've got this stalemate here. We've got a top here, which looks interesting, but I've got to say there's an awful lot of resistance above here. So I'm not even going to look at this stock until we see a bit above R2. So growth potential on this, and we actually haven't seen a lot of growth in the banks for quite some time. So really they are yield plays, as we know. Good yield plays, I must say, and maybe eventually we might get some growth back. But really here you can just see that the buyers and sellers really aren't sure one way or another what's happening there. If it gets above R2, that will be encouraging. We're currently in a stalemate. Troubles overhead, and I think you'll find when you look at these banks, once if they start going up to the top of the range, they look better. They start going down, they all of a sudden look worse. So I've sort of got there's little trend behaviour. So growth may remain elusive and temporary, and you'll see the swing from they'll look good one day and they'll look bad the next day. It's sort of a weird thing, but that's what can happen, especially when the indicators are fairly flat and neutral. They can all of a sudden go positive, all of a sudden go bearish, and it can change the picture very quickly. So we really need, in this instance, price to give us a lead here as to what's happening. Okay, so that is really what we're looking for. So that's ANZ, Commonwealth Bank. Same situation. All you need to do is look at a chart. We love the visuals. It just tells us this stock is going sideways. Okay, 110 to the top, 90 is the bottom. Again, this one looks encouraging, but this is the key, 110. Okay, so we've got this upsloping ledge, which is all good, but we really need to see the stock through here if it's going to do anything. Trend intensity rating is 0. Again, encouraging, mixed, neutral, not a lot there for ANZ and Commonwealth Bank. Okay, the next one on the scale is Bendigo Bank. Is this looking any better? Well, let's have a look. Bendigo Bank, pretty well got the stalemate there. This one we've got short-term pressure on, as opposed to CBA, which had short-term upside. So we're still within this range for all these banks, and they're going down and looks bearish again, can look bullish again. But we've got this sort of converging area again of uncertainty. This is flat, no direction here. The moving average is pretty flat, just swirling around the price at the moment. So again, the picture is by no means certain. It really is a neutral stance on these banks at the moment. So let's just work through the other ones quickly and have a look at them. NAB as well. It's bounced off the lows there again. We've got this stalemate we've been in for a couple of years. Troubles up here. This is where all the tops are. Okay, it's come down here, found some support. Bit of volume appeared there a little bit, and now we're going up again. So again, in these trendless periods, it's easy to make case for both sides. So all of a sudden, if it goes above the average and this goes above the 0 level, a bit of volume, all of a sudden we've got to push higher. But we really need price to tell us, and that's when it gets to R1, which is up around $34. So that's where it is. Trend intensity rating -3 on NAB, so that's not a good looking one either. Okay, now we go to Westpac, which is a very, very sad story. It has been for an awfully long time. If you go right back to 2015, it's just been a big fat downtrend. We're in a stalemate situation now, encouraging higher low, I guess we could call it that, but we need it through here ultimately to give us some sort of reversal pattern and some sort of trend to move. We've got a flat indicators, moving averages flat, stalemate situation. Trend intensity rating is actually -5 on Westpac, so it's looking that foot. And this downtrend is valid from the highs at $40 in 2015, and the price is now $21 in 2024. So that's in a solid downtrend. Growth, no growth there. Bit of yield maybe, but that's about it. Bank of Queensland, final bank I want to get into, and again, this one here was really no stalemate here, just a simple downtrend. We are approaching the hope level, or level of hope as I call it. This is the ultimate low down here. We see a little bit of volume here, which is a good sign. This is still pretty weak, it's below the average, so we're in a downtrend, but we have a little bit of sign of possible support down here we would look for. So that's the only hope here. Bank of Queensland really has been a poor performer for quite a while, so we're going to leave that one alone. And it's got a trend intensity rating of -8, which is quite a sad story. So there you have it, Mr. Whoever called me up this week. I won't name you, but the banks are really not giving a lot. but they do give you a very steady, healthy yield. And if you want to get that, that's fine. You can probably get a little bit more in the bank sometimes at the moment, depending whether you get franking or not. So anyway, that's what the banks, and that's the story of the banks at the moment. Okay, so let's flip through a couple of other stocks here. I've got BHP. I just want to have a look at that there. Now, I looked at this before a few weeks ago, and we're a little bit negative on BHP, but really we've got this big resistance of $50. We've got the buyer's push here, and we're getting some pretty sturdy support through here. BHP is interesting because it's got rid of a lot of assets over the last few years. It's not playing the lithium game. It's got rid of the small thing. It's really an iron ore. Then we've got a bit of copper, and it's offset its oil. So it's really changed its spots a little bit, BHP. Has it made the right call? Well, that's a big question. We'll have to wait and see. But we've got some very good support for the stock here at S1, $43. Resistance is $50. That is the one that's going to resolve things for me. If we are going to look at neutral, nothing here on the volume, neutral on the MACD, and the moving average is flat. Again, this is probably why the ASX 200 is going sideways, because all these big stocks are just doing nothing at the moment. Okay, now let's get to a few that may be going to do something. Okay, firstly, trend reversals, ARB Corp. I look at ARB Corp, and it's still trying to break through this range here. Now let's just have a little look here. Okay, so this is ARB Corp. It had a 52% correction. So this is into our downtrodden stock base. It's been downtrodden stock, and we're getting a trend reversal. So the odds are starting to shift in this. We've got a trend intensity rating of +1, but the odds are starting to shift because we've got some good support down here, which we can see. I've gone through this, I know, before, but now we're getting a bit of volume coming through here, pushing the price at this reversal level. We do not have an official break as yet. This is improving, this is turning positive, it's above the average. So we're getting that possible turn situation. We just need confirmation of this price break here, which will be a new high for this trend reversal, which will then give us a signal to go with this one, because it's quite an interesting stock, ARB Corp, and we'd be very keen if we did see a good trend reversal there. Okay, now I'm going to go through Reece now. It's had a bit of a pullback, as have some of the industrial material stocks, CSR, James Hardie, Boral. There's a few of them there that all had a big run, as has Reece. And it is now coming under some selling pressure at the moment. Got up to about just over $20 selling pressure. It's come down here. We've got a couple of long candle wicks appearing here, which is a good sign of support, but we need more evidence of support here. So we can see some selling appearing. Momentum is still positive. It's above the average, so it's still a hold at the moment. Trend intensity rating is still 8. And we've had this 50% correction on Reece, which is our downtrodden type stocks. Once they correct 30-50%, we look at those, we get a reversal pattern, we get into the trend. So this is now trending nicely since we entered back here in January 23. It's had a nice move up. We've had a couple of these bits before, but this is another one. So we just have to go through this, wait for our stop to, our stop is what's going to tell us what to do at this stage. At the moment it's intact, so we hang on for this one. But you've got to watch some of those ones, CSR, Boral, JXX, all those ones have had a little bit of a run. Be careful of them. Okay, Rio. Again, another one. This is more of an iron ore stock. So I'm just reading my notes off my phone today because I haven't got any printer available to me. So excuse me for quick looking at that. But it's Rio really a bit like BHP, although BHP has an upslant. This just has a sideways trading range. But we are getting some fairly good support here mid-range. Now, often we expect these things to turn down and try down to the bottom of the range. But this one hasn't so far, and we're trying to break this little downtrend line here, maybe have another shot there. There's a bit of buying appearing here after some selling whacked it. Momentum's neutral, so it's a little bit of an almost story. Trend intensity rating is still -2 on Rio. Again, we just need R1 to be broken there. For a lot of these leaders, really they can just chop around here for all they like, but there's still no clear direction. There's no clear trend, so we just have to stay away. We're trend traders, and that's what we do. Okay. Now we go to new highs, and Worley, it keeps continuing higher, steady. It actually has a few weeks of sideways trading range. It's still rating a trend intensity rating of 9. There's been no real selling here. If I can just wind this up a little bit, so you can see some of this volume here. Okay, so there's a reasonable volume through here, some good volume on the break up through here. We've got our stop down here, quite away from the price still. Trend intensity rating is 9, it's above the average. This is okay, It's all okay, Worley. As just noted before, we've had a big break of an old level down here at, what was that? $16, and the highs are up around $21, and that's probably what we'd be looking for Worley at the moment, until told otherwise. The trend is your friend, remember? So we just keep raising our stop on this one until it gets either hit or we get up to here R2 and it maybe goes through there. I don't really know, but for the moment Worley is still going higher, and that's a good thing. So new highs. Another one we look at, AUB Group made a new high. We just added this one recently to our coverage. Excuse me, let's get that volume back. Okay, so we can see this volume a bit better. So you can just see this wonderful trend. We had a trend reversal back down here. It then created a new high, which confirms the trend, and we're still going high on very good volume and momentum. So this trend, this is a stock, this is one of the good ones. Rating at 10, and it's one of those 28 stocks that we like that are actually doing okay, irrespective of what the market's doing. It's just doing its own thing and going along very nicely. And there's that trend intensity rating of +10. So it looks great. It looks a really good stock. So not dissimilar to something like 7 Group, which just keeps making new highs almost every week. Okay, so that's AUB Group. I didn't mention to you the builders before. We just have a quick look at CSR, and you can see what's happening here. We're up near the highs here, or up near resistance level at R1 at 630. We've some selling has hit it. We've seen a bit of volume come in here. This is slow to touch. It's still okay, still positive, and the average is down here. So it's by no means over yet, but we're having a challenge, which is always happens. We have a move up, comes down, it challenges the buyers come back in, ramp it up, and that's how it keeps going on until the sellers finally overtake. At the moment, the buyers are still in control, although the sellers are challenging at the moment. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you know where stop is. We've got a good profit to lock in from here. So just keep your eye on it and be vigilant with these stops. Okay, now that's really most of the stocks I wanted to show you. Just a couple of other smaller ones, which we might show you. So I just want to go through. Firstly is Net Wealth Group, which is one that I cover. When we entered this just a few weeks ago, and it's moved up really quite well. This stop is a little bit higher now, I think. We've got some good volume moving through here. The momentum is good. The platforms have been actually doing pretty well. I'm going to show you another chart in a second, which actually also looks pretty good, another platform stock. But Net Wealth, it's moving up towards its high, and then that was a big resistance level it fell down from, but we've had a nice trend reversal pattern here. It's broken to a new high here, so we really are looking for this to start trending up towards R1 as our next stop. Okay, so volume's good, momentum's good, all looking fairly good for Net Wealth. Now the other one is Hub24. Hub24 has been a great stock for a while, and it's just had a good correction here. It's now sort of just been sort of consolidating a little, but now it's starting to move above the highs. We're starting to see some volume come back into this stock, and the momentum is very positive. So everything here, if I run a trend intensity rating over this, it would be a +10, no doubt, and we've got a break to new all-time highs. So that is really one of those ones you can't really ignore. You can but and worry about all sorts of things, but to my mind, all the indicators that I use tell me this is a yes. They're all flashing green and it says go, 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 go. So Hub24, that's a buy with a stop. Okay, the next one I want to have a look at, this is a bit of an interest, this one. The energy market's got a bit stronger again. Now, I don't know if you know who this stock is, but if you don't, it's Karoon Energy, and the trend intensity rating is +10. It's had a good uptrend. It's had a good correction. It's now broken to new highs on volume with the moving average. It's above, with the momentum, it's above the moving average, and it's looking great. So as the oil price continues higher, we might see a bit more move in this Karoon. So it's an interesting stock, this one. Price making new all-time highs, fantastic news. Actually, I don't think it is all-time highs, but it is highs for this trend. If I go back here a bit, yeah, there was actually higher here a while ago. So this is not an all-time high, but it's a new high, which is still good, especially when we've got a trend intensity rating of +10. Okay, now the other one I want to show you is Southern Cross Electrical. It's also hitting new highs at the moment. From a long time ago, back in 2018, it's come back. It came back from 80 cents down to about 40, so it cut itself in half. A little bit like the downtrodden thing, the downtrodden stocks thing. When they get down to 30-50%, we look at them. We're more talking about leaders in my tables on the newsletter, but for some stocks you can also look at this as a possibility. But for Southern Cross Electrical Engineering, we put all that aside. This is a new high. The moving average is above the moving average and it's turning up. But the volume we can't really tell here. Let me just see what I can do with this volume. See if I can get this up a little bit. Just so you can just see here, we've got a bit of volume just starting to appear through here as it breaks higher, and momentum is very bullish. So this is an interesting little stock, this one, and I think it yields pretty well also. So certainly worth a watch. if you're interested in the smaller end of the market. Okay, now, so that's really the stocks I want to go through for you today. Covering those banks off was an important thing for me today. They are really yield plays these days rather than growth. So, it may hamper the market. This is why, if the banks don't go, it's very difficult for the ASX 200 to go higher. But that doesn't mean there aren't going to be stock picks. As we see there, stocks like AUB Group, 7 Group, all those stocks are still going higher. So there's opportunities there. Okay, so now let's go to trading tactics, and just briefly I want to talk about the trend intensity rating. The trend intensity rating, as you know, has 4 components. It has price, it has moving average, it has volume, and it has momentum, or MACD, which is a momentum indicator I use. So I want to talk about trend today and how I use trend and how that it's built. With all the four tools, they are all given values as to the state that they're in. There's only a certain amount of defined values that they can be in, and with the trend, it's either up or it's down. It's a very, very simple thing. Okay, we don't have if, maybes and buts. We just do this is up, this is down. So in this instance here, the trend intensity rating, price and trend attributes. Okay, firstly, it can be a new high that reverses a trend reversal, a new high that reconfirms a trend, which is after the stop is hit, or all-time highs are simply weekly highs that carry more significance. So all the things that I work with really are effectively new highs for certain conditions. Okay, so that will trigger me a positive rating for the price. Okay, so I'm looking for higher highs and higher lows, and all these three elements are exactly what they do. They confirm a new beginning of higher highs and higher lows. So that then gives, if we get the new high, that gives a positive rating for trend intensity rating. If it's not a new high, it gets a negative rating. It's that simple, really. So the value is inserted into the trend intensity rating. These are the four pieces. We're talking about price and trend today, okay? The trend is up, it gets a value in the TIR. The trend is down, it gets a negative value in the TIR. And as you know, the TIR is between minus 10 and plus 10. So if everything's flashing green, plus 10 is what it gets. If everything's flashing red, minus 10 is what it gets. So you may get an idea of how I value these things. I'm not going to give it away, but basically the trend is probably the most important part of the trend intensity rating, as you know. So that gets a big value in the trend intensity rating, okay? But the other components will also get a rating. So to follow the next few weeks, I'll go through volume, I'll go through moving average, I'll go through momentum, but the trend, it's very simple. And this is what I try and do. The whole thing should be simple and easy when you're trading. And this whole thing about the TIR, it takes out the emotion and things like that for you and gives you really good perspective. So that's really important, I think. So that's how I input the price trend into the TIR. I give it a plus value or a minus value. As simple as that. Okay, so that's the banks. That's about all I've got for today. Banks, where to next? Probably sideways, more and more sideways, but there's some good stocks in that I've showed you. So that's about all I've got for today. We'll talk a bit more about the trend intensity rating over coming weeks to help keep you abreast of its purposes and its use, because it is a unique tool that gives you that perspective, that window of perspective, rather than basing anything on one index, which is a very, very dangerous thing to do in any situation. You want a consensus rating to give you that. So that's what I try and do. Okay, so that's about all I've got for today. I'll be back in town next week with my cameras and microphones and lights and things like that, which I don't have today. But thanks for listening today. And for now, stay safe, watch your trends, heed your stops. If you need to give me a chat, if you need to talk about anything, give me a chat. I'm always here and up for that. So I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks very much from the Gold Coast.